Hello everyone, welcome back. If you're new here, I'm Katie, and today we are going to be talking about my October end of the month wrap up and how I did on the Journey Through the Bible readathon. So if you missed it, I think it was a blast doing this awesome Journey Through the Bible readathon where you get to choose your own path and your own adventure through the Bible. So it was so much fun. I really enjoyed it. I wish I could have done more reading sprints, which I probably could have since I did my very first one on my phone instead of my laptop, but that's okay. We'll do more readathons in the future, I'm sure. But I will go through every single book that I filled in, plus a couple extra that I got in within the month, because I only fit in Christian fiction in these prompts, and plus a couple extra that I didn't add on here. So I'm just gonna go ahead and show you my path through the readathon. So for Where Are You Going, I was able to visit the Garden of Eden, which was nature on the cover, Bethlehem, which was house on the cover, and The Promised Land, book you promised to read. So the only one that I didn't finish was Jericho, a book with noise. So I was so close to finishing every prompt on the top row. And then for Who Are You Going to Meet, that was close to finishing too. I was able to meet Jesus, which was food or drink on the cover. Joseph, which was book of many colors, and it had to have at least 6 out of the 7 colors of the rainbow because you didn't have to have indigo on there. And then Peter, which was water on the cover. Ruth, which was a love story, and Esther, a book with royalty. So the only ones that I did not meet was Pharaoh's daughter and Daniel. So really close to finishing those too. And then for Witness and Event, I was able to see the Noah's Ark being built, which was Pear on the cover. The Pyramid, which was slavery. And then the Birth of Jesus, which was stars in the cover or title. And then Jesus' Resurrection, a New Christian. So I finished most of those. I only didn't get to see the Tower of Babel, Solomon's Temple, or David and Goliath. And then something has happened. This is something dangerous has happened to you on your adventures. So I 3 things happened to me. I was thrown in the lion's den, which was a book with danger. I was thrown in jail, so I had to read a book with spiritual warfare. And then I was also swallowed by a fish, which I had to read a book that was hard to swallow or a tough topic. And then the last one was How Do You Escape? Pray and Jesus Will Save You, and it was reader's choice, so obviously you could choose anything for that. And you did not have to choose Christian books for this, just because it was a Christian readathon. I wanted to put all Christian books on mine, but you did not have to. So let's go ahead and start going in through all of our books. So I have my list to help me out, just to make sure that I have my ratings and everything going. All right, so I'm going to go in order of the readathon because that'll be easier than star rating. So the first book that I finished was Where Am I Going? Garden of Eden, nature on the cover. And for that, I read On the Cliffs of Foxglove Manor by Jaime Jo Wright. And I buddy read this along with Celestria. Anyone's channels I mentioned, I will link down in the description box. So Celestria and I buddy read this one, and she rated it a little higher than me. I gave this one a 3.5 stars, I think. Just because I couldn't really concentrate as I was listening to the audiobook, but I did enjoy the storyline. All of her books are dual timeline, and this one has to do with a treasure and a mysterious manor where she's kind of trying to figure out where this treasure could be during the Civil War. And I was kind of disappointed with the ending, so that's kind of why I gave it a little bit of a lower rating, and it was a little bit slower paced for me. But I think people would enjoy this one. Just this was a little slower for me, I guess, at least out of all of her books that I've read from her so far. So this one's 3.5 stars, and yeah, but if you like kind of a treasure hunting, a little bit of mystery going on, and mysterious figures in the house, so it was definitely interesting. So go check that one out. So that was my first book. Okay, next one was Bethlehem House on the cover. And for that one, I read another Jaime Jo Wright, which was The Premonition at Wither's Farm, and another dual timeline. I ended up giving this one 4 stars. I did really enjoy this one. So if you've read The Souls of Lost Lake, I know some of my friends thought this was less creepy. I honestly thought this one was more creepy than her last book, but it was definitely a fall read. It has to do a lot with cornfields. We have some ghosts, and I did a whole review on this, so I will link all of my full-length reviews down in the description box as well if you want to check them out, just so I don't talk too much about it. But yeah, so there's that. There's dual timeline. There's murders happening at this old house where the now present era, they buy this house where they find old tombstones down in the basement, and mysterious things happen. And yeah, so it was good. And just the only part that I didn't like was that just her mother in the past was a medium. And even though this is a Christian fiction book, you know, I didn't really like that aspect, even though Jaime did a good job in sharing with us that, you know, it's something you shouldn't delve into, and God is the only one who can help you through anything. So, but I did enjoy it. Just that part I didn't really enjoy. Okay. Next one that I have for the readathon was for The Promised Land, a book you promised to read. And for that one, I read A Castaway in Cornwall by Julie Clausen. This was my first Julie Clausen book, and this was our buddy read in our Christian book club. And I ended up only giving this one 3 stars. It might be closer to 2 stars. I know a lot of people really enjoyed this one, but for some reason, I don't know if it was just the wrong time for me to listen to the audiobook, or I don't know. It was really weird, because I think I read like a couple of really good books like right before that one, and I don't know, I could not get into it. And it wasn't that the storyline wasn't good. I really enjoyed the storyline and the characters, but for me, I just couldn't concentrate on the audiobook, and I did not retain anything from listening to the audiobook. So I do know some parts a little bit. So we have a shipwreck that happens on the shores, and this mysterious stranger is rescued, and there's more to his story than what he's telling. And it's during the war between the French and the English, I believe. And so we have some spy activities going on and some mysterious happenings and trying to find a lost family. So not that it wasn't good. I do now that I'm thinking about it, remembering more than I thought, but just for me, I just didn't think it was a good time for me to listen to it, I guess. All right. Next one that I read for the readathon, I actually read 4, I think. 1, 2, 3. I don't think the 4th one is on here, but I read 4 of Misu Andrews' novellas. They are the Prophet and Kings prequels to her Isaiah Prophecy series. And so I ended up reading those. I have not read the original series yet. I need to, because these were amazing. I gave them all 5 stars. And they're just following characters from each of the different books. I really enjoyed these novellas. They were kind of diving deeper into the characters in the original series, and I have not read the original series yet. So I can't tell you really anything about them, but they were really good. I love Misu Andrews. Her faith content, her research into biblical era is just incredible, and she is absolutely one of my favorite authors of all time. I love her, and she is such a sweet and a wonderful lady to talk to as well. So definitely check those out. I love them. All right, so that one was, I was going to read it for, what was it? Food or drink on the cover, and that one was, really? Don't you just hate printing? They don't print well. Well, I'll put the title and the picture here because I cannot read it because it's very blurry and fuzzy. I really hate my printer. But anyway, so I won't put the title and the author, but it does have grapes on the cover, so it counts for food or drink on the cover. And those novellas were so much fun. All right, so for the next one was Joseph, Book of Many Colors. And for that one, I read The Secrets of Emberwild by Stephenia H. McGee, and then there is tons of colors. There's blue, green in the background, there's yellow, there's purple in her outfit, there's red in her hair, there's orange along the mane of the horse, so pretty much every color of the rainbow. And honestly, there is actually what looks like a regular, like light purple, and also like an indigo purple in her outfit. So technically, it does have all 7 colors of the rainbow in this book. So this one came out, I think, this past month. Yeah, on the 4th, and I enjoyed it. I gave this one 4 stars. If you like horses and a mystery, this is definitely a really great book to check out. This is a historical fiction about Nora, who she is thinking that she's going to inherit her dad's farm after he passes away, but it goes down to a couple mysterious things happening, and her uncle supposedly is the one who is inheriting the farm. And then there's this mysterious stranger who comes to their ranch working, and he's trying to figure out who killed his father, I think like 15 years ago or something. But it's really good. I did enjoy the mystery of this, and I think the first half of the book was a little slow for me, but the second half definitely picked up, and I really enjoyed the resolution at the end of the book. So there was that one. Trying to keep organized here. All right, so the next one was for Water on the Cover. And then that was Peter. And for that one, I was going to be reading, well, I did read, State of Lies by Siri Mitchell, and there is rain on the cover. There's like a window and rain, and I give this one 5 stars. I think this might be one of my favorites of the year. I loved it. This was my first Siri Mitchell, and I know she is mostly known for historical romance, but this one was so good. It was a standalone political thriller, which I don't normally like political thrillers, but in this case, I loved it. It was so much fun. I absolutely loved it. So this is about a physicist named Georgie, and her husband dies on his way to pick up a piece for their faucet to fix in their kitchen, and he ends up passing away in a car accident. But then she comes to find out, like, she gets his items back, and there's a couple items missing from the list of the things that he had with him. And so she's wondering, okay, some things are missing. And then she realizes that he went past the store. And she's like, what was he doing past the store? And trying to figure out what's going on, what's happening. So many different things don't connect with her husband's murder. The doctor guy who performed the autopsy, he is now in prison. And so she's trying to figure out something is really wrong with what's happening here. And it was a fast-paced thriller ride. I loved it. Siri actually wrote another standalone thriller. I just bought it. I don't have it yet, but I am reading it like as soon as I can. I know I'm gonna love it, especially after this one. So pick this one out if you love a good thriller, mystery, high intense book. This one was a lot of fun. I loved it. I cannot wait to read her other one, and I hope she writes more thriller mysteries, because this one was a trip for sure. Loved it. All right, next up that I read was, let's see, Ruth, which was a love story, and for that one I read Jewel of the Nile by Tessa Afshar. I buddy read this one with Read for the Sky, so thank you for buddy reading this with me, and I really enjoyed it. And so I gave Jewel of the Nile 4 stars. I really enjoyed this one. It actually might be closer to 4.5, not quite 5 star, but I really did enjoy this one. So this is about Caroline, who she is an orphan, and she's trying to figure out who her father was. Her mother passed away when she was little, and she has no idea who her father was. Her grandparents won't tell her anything. So she ends up traveling to, I think she travels to Egypt or Rome. She travels to Rome with this man who she kind of sneaks on his boat to get to Rome to try to figure out who her father was. And so she ends up going there, and it's a really sweet kind of love story about finding family, finding new family and new friends. And I really enjoyed this one. It definitely has like an underlying plot of mystery and intrigue, as well as someone is trying to endanger her life as well. So it was really good. I really enjoyed this one. I think this might be so far my favorite Tessa Afshar book. I've only read 3, but this one I think definitely makes the top of the list. All right, and then the next person that I met along our journeys was Esther, which was a book with royalty. And for that one, I read another of the novellas from Prophets and Kings by Misu Andrews. And there was royalty throughout the entire novella series, because we're talking about the kings of like Jerusalem and the pharaohs of Egypt. And so pretty much any one of those could go for it. Yes, some of these novellas were pretty short. I think some of them were only between 30 and 50 pages, but I'll still count it. It was a whole book to me. Well, technically they were all combined in one book, which is releasing, I believe, this month, at the end of this month. So I will put when the whole novellas series is going to be released, so you can check that out, because I don't think they're available singly anymore. So she made a whole bind up of those, which I'm excited about. All right, so now we're going on to witness an event. So the first event that I witnessed was Noah's Ark, which was a pair on the cover. A pair of anything, people, food, flowers. So I read The Lost Melody, and we have 2 giant flowers on the cover. And this one is a contender for my favorite book of the year. I absolutely adored this book. I gave it 5 stars. I would give it 5 million stars if I could on Goodreads. I loved this. This is my very first Joanna Davidson Politano book, and I bought it. I bought at least, I think I bought 2 or 3 books that I'm waiting for from this author, because I just loved it so much that I cannot wait to read the rest. So this one, I did a whole big review on this one as well, so I will link it down below. But this one is about Vivian, who she gets a note saying after her father passes away that he was taking care of a woman in an asylum, and she had no idea. He's been paying this woman's not tuition, but money to board at this asylum, and she's like, I have never heard of this woman. Who is this woman? But I have memories of her growing up. Like, she has a distinct memory of a woman of this name, and so she ends up going here in disguise to get a job to work at the asylum. And what follows is a very dark, dangerous path for her. So if you're uncomfortable with mental health issues, definitely skip this book. But it was so beautiful. The way Joanna weaves in music and God's love to pierce the darkness in this asylum was just so beautiful. I loved it. The writing was gorgeous. I ended up listening to piano music because the main character is a pianist, and I ended up listening to piano soundtracks as I was listening to this. And she actually has a whole playlist on Facebook on her page, so go check that out. But it was so beautiful. I loved it, and I cannot wait to pick up more of her books. The next thing that I witnessed was the pyramids being built, and for that one I read another of Misu Andrews' novellas, and this one was Adna's Legacy. And this particular novella, I couldn't remember if it was the first or third novella, but Adna was a slave in a household, and so I wasn't quite sure if this was before or after she was a slave, but she was a slave, so I'm going to count it. And I loved Adna's storyline throughout these novellas. It was such a sweet love story between her and her husband, and I just loved it. I really did. All right, next one, I got to witness the birth of Jesus, which would be fun. I would love that. But let's see, that was a star on the cover or title, and for that one, I read In the Field of Grace by Tessa Afshar. This was another buddy read with Grace-Filled Reads, and we read this one together, and it was so much fun. And this one was like, it felt like a shorter book. I wonder if this is an ARC copy, because it's got like those white pages. But I don't think it is. But anyways, so this one was really good. This is a biblical fiction on Ruth and Boaz, and I just really enjoyed it. I mean, it doesn't really go too much deeper into their love story, because it is on the true story of Ruth and Boaz. But if you don't know, Ruth and her mother-in-law Naomi lose their husbands, and then they are widowed, and they move back to I want to say Noemi. I used to know somebody named Noemi, but it's Naomi. I don't know why I thought of that for some reason. But they move back to Naomi's hometown. And so Ruth ends up gleaning in Boaz's field to get food for her and her mother-in-law. And there she meets Boaz. And what follows is their love story and how God brings them together to be in the lineage of King David. So it's really good. Definitely pick it up. I think I gave this one 4 stars. Yes, 4 stars for this book. All right, and then the next prompt that I finished was I witnessed Jesus's resurrection, and for that one it was a new Christian book, and so I read Boo by Renee Guttridge. This is the first book in the Boo series, and I loved it. I gave it 5 stars. Again, it'll probably be on my favorites of the year, which I have to remember to put that because I don't think I did on my list, but it was so much fun. I have not had a book in a long time that made me laugh out loud It was funny and charming and sweet. And I honestly thought the whole entire series took place at Halloween. It doesn't. I think it starts like actually after Halloween or like right around that time. But the first book goes straight to like Thanksgiving time in between October and November. And then we head on into Christmas. And the second book, I just started the second book and I am loving it. It's so much fun. It was really entertaining. I wish I finished the entire series in 1 month though, because so I can talk about all of them. But for the moment, I'll just talk about Boo. So Boo, his name is Wolf Boone, and he was a horror author. And that's what the town got known for because, hey, a famous author who wrote horror books lives here. And so the town became famous that way. It became famous for Halloween and for horror stuff. But then Boo finds Jesus and he becomes a new Christian. And it's all about the adventures about how this little town is thinking to themselves, oh no, if he becomes a Christian, what's going to happen to the town? We need him to keep writing horror books, but he doesn't want to write horror books anymore. And just the antics of the townspeople was so much fun. I loved all the characters. I loved it so much. As a matter of fact, I bought that series too. And it's coming soon, hopefully. But so I'll be doing a whole book haul soon with all the books that I've bought because of all the books I've read this month. But yeah, so I really enjoyed that first book. I cannot wait to read the rest of the series. I think that there's 4. There's Boo, Boo Hoo, Boo Hiss, and Boo Humbug, I think. So I'm gonna hopefully get to that one next month, Boo Humbug, if I can finish the rest of the series this month. But that was so much fun. Definitely 5 stars. Check it out. It is not creepy. It is not scary. It's just a cute read. I honestly thought it was going to be creepy because, I mean, he was a horror author, but it's not. I promise you. I think you'll love it. All right, next one. All right, so now we go into something has happened, which is all the things that can happen to you along your journeys. So the first one was you get thrown in the lion's den. That's what I did, and I read another of the Prophets and Kings, but this one's called the Heroes and Kings novella series. There was 2 of them, and I read both of them. And the other one I read for royalty. So again, I can't really tell you too much about this, but these novellas follow Daniel as he was a little boy. So we're following him and his mother through their journey. And so yeah, that was really interesting. I like seeing God's light, God shining through this little boy, Daniel, and him being such a small age and seeing God's love. It was really cool. I like that one. And seeing God's promises come to life. All right, so the next one was Thrown in Jail, Spiritual Warfare. And for that one, I did A Voice in the Wind by Francine Rivers, which was our buddy read. I did a whole reading review chat this past weekend about this book, and it was a chunker, but I ended up finishing the audiobook in I think 3 days. I really enjoyed this one. I'm going to give it between 4 and 4.5 stars. Not quite 5, but I really enjoyed it, and I heard the second book is even better, so I'm really excited. Oops, I have my bookmark still in here, which was a little printable thing. But anyway, so if you missed this, I did talk about it. It follows 4 different perspectives in biblical times, a little bit after Jesus's his crucifixion. So it's about 50 AD, I think, roughly. We're following Hadassah, who is a Jewish slave to a Roman family, and all about just what goes on in a Roman family life, pretty much. And it was kind of interesting. I really enjoyed it. Go check out my full review if you want to see my full review on it. But definitely pick this up. But I would not recommend this for anyone who is a young teen or younger, just because there is quite a bit of violence in here, as well as not explicit talk about love scenes, but they do get a little heavy. So definitely not for younger teens or children. So, but it was good. I really enjoyed it. All right, next up was, let's see. Oh yeah, I did, I was swallowed by a fish. I really wanted to fulfill that prompt because, I don't know, everything that happens to anybody, that might be like the least most dangerous, although kind of gross and smelly and disgusting, but, so yeah. Or in the lion's den, honestly. Anyways, so that was a tough topic or hard to swallow. And for that one, I read What Your Mind Needs for Anxious Moments. And yes, I mean, it's a tough topic, talking about mental health and just being stressed and anxious and having anxiety. that's a tough topic. I don't read a lot of nonfiction or devotionals, so that was a hard to swallow book because I don't read a lot of them. So I did a whole review on this as well, and I did fill in a few of the first ones with some notes. I like that there's note space, but I'm definitely going to next year take this a little bit slower and have a little bit more of my thoughts as we go. But pretty much Holley Gerth talks about pretty much every type of anxiety you can really face in here, whether it be illness, stress about family and friends, worrying about just day-to-day things. And she just talks about how God can help us through it. And she has some biblical passages as well in here. And so it was really interesting taking some of biblical stories and pertaining them to nowadays, and how people like Daniel and David and people in the Bible, how they went through tough and anxiety-driven times and how God helped them. So definitely really good. I gave this one 5 stars, and I definitely will take this a little bit slower as I reread it next year. All right, and then the last one was How Do You Escape? Pray and Jesus Will Help You. And so for that one was a reader's choice. You could read anything you wanted to. And for this one, I read 9 by Rachel Decker, which was on my TBR this month. And I really enjoyed this one. I gave this one 4 stars. My dad's actually reading it right now. But this is about a girl named Zoe. And she ends up working at a cafe where this mysterious stranger comes in, this strange girl, who I think she's only like maybe about 12 or 13, maybe a teeny bit older than that. But government agents are following this girl, and so Zoe ends up just deciding, you know what? Something about this girl seems off, but I really feel led to help this girl. So she helps her escape from the cafe before the government agents can get her, and we follow how, like, what's going on. This girl has lost her memories. She has no idea who she is, but she has these strange abilities of being able to break a man's wrist at like the slightest touch. She can break a lock off a window. She can run really fast. And Zoe's like, okay, there's definitely something strange about this girl going on. So we're following why the government wants this girl so bad, why she has these abilities and stuff. And so this one was really fun. I definitely enjoyed this one. Definitely either 4 or 5 stars. Either one, because it was really good. I can give it 5 stars. But yeah, so definitely pick it up. This is by Rachel Decker. You probably have definitely heard of her father, who is Ted Decker. But I'm really enjoying her books. I definitely want to pick up more by her. All right, and then we're going to talk about the books that weren't part of the readathon. I only have a few. I need my list because I don't have any physical copies. Okay, so the first one was a 3-star read for me, and I listened to the audiobook for The Mystery at Lilac Inn by Carolyn Keene. I'm just continuing to go through the original series because I believe I've read all of them, but I always wanted to reread like the entire original series and all of these spin-offs, like the Hardy Boys and Nancy Drew Super Mysteries, the Nancy Drew Files. So yeah, I've been going through them a lot, and this one was only 3 stars for me. I'm trying to be a little bit more critical because I loved them so much growing up, but as an adult reader, I really want to be like, okay, did I really enjoy this book, or is it just because of nostalgia? So I've been trying to be more critical and think about my rating for Nancy Drew. So 3 stars for that one. And then let's see, the next one I read was Sunflower by Ingrid Laguna, and this is a sequel to Songbird, which I think I read earlier this year. And honestly, I preferred the first book better than the second one. This one I only gave 3 stars as well. And for some reason, the characters just seemed younger to me in the second book. It was really, really weird. Like, I felt like they were more mature in the first book. Maybe that was just me. But anyways, so this is about a girl who she travels from, I believe, I'm gonna get this wrong. I believe Saudi Arabia during war, and she ends up escaping with her family to go to Australia. And so it's all about her life in the first book and how she deals with the stress of moving. She leaves her best friend behind, and so they end up moving there. And then the second book is all about how her friend moves from Australia, or moves from Saudi Arabia and comes to Australia. And so it's all about seeing how their friendship is going to be, what's going to happen. She has new friends in Australia now, how they're going to connect with her old friend who is now coming back. So I did like that part, but I just felt the characters were a lot younger in the second book, it seemed. Even though I think they're all about 12, I don't know, for just some reason they acted a lot younger in the second book. And so just for me, I think I just gave it 3 stars because of that. But I still really enjoyed it, and if she does come out with another book in this series, I will definitely pick it up. All right, and then the next one that I read was Battle Royale by Liesl Adams. This was a graphic novel, and this was just a fun and cute book. I'm not sure actually why I only gave it 3 stars. Maybe if it had maybe if it was a little bit longer, or if it got more of a resolution between the characters, I think I would have liked it a little bit more. But this is all about a girl who, she really wants to go to the biggest baking school in the world, but her parents can't afford it. But she ends up being able to get onto a baking competition where she can earn the money to go to college. And so she ends up going there with her best friend, and it's a little bit of a love story too. So their age is mid-teens, I think, are their ages. But so there's a little bit of romance, but there's nothing heavy. I think there's just 1 or 2 kissing scenes. But it's not Christian. It's just a cute graphic novel that I picked up, and it was fun. You get to see the baking competition. I definitely don't know if you'd like it, but if you do like baking shows and stuff, I definitely think you would like this. I like baking shows and competitions, so it was a fun read, and I enjoyed seeing kind of behind the scenes a little bit of a baking show and what goes on behind the camera. So that was fun. I really enjoyed it. It might be closer to 4 stars now that I think about it. So 3.5, I would say. All right, and then the next one, I finished Spy Family Volume 7, and I only gave it 3 stars only because I shouldn't have done this. I read half the book at the end of September and half the book at the end of October, and I let too much time go by in between to where I couldn't remember what happened in the first part of the book. So yeah, I did like the second half. I know I like the second half better than the first half, and I can't wait to read the second one because we're following the spy family who are now going on a cruise ship, and so I'm excited to see what kind of antics happen. Anya is still my favorite character. That little girl is so cute and adorable, and I hope we see a lot more of her in the next book. But yeah, so it's all about this man who, it's the Forger family, and he has to infiltrate into a private school in order to, I don't know if they need information from a bad guy in that situation, but they need to infiltrate and get in there. The only way he can is if he needs to immediately get a family. So he adopts a little girl and he marries a woman who is a secret assassin, and Anya can read minds. So it's an interesting, very interesting family dynamic, that's for sure. But it's been fun so far. Definitely, I think this number 7 was probably one of my lowest rated books in the series. The first couple were all 4 stars for me. So I have high hopes for the next one. I think I'm going to like it better than this one. All right, and then the next one that I read, I think we're almost done. No, actually, that might have been my last one to talk about today. Yeah. That was my last book to talk about today. So yeah, I read a ton of books this past month, and that did not even include, I read a couple of Archie comics. I just don't talk about them because they're just kind of like my, relaxing reads that I read in between or when I'm eating or relaxing, and I just want to pick up a comic book. But I did read a good, I think 3 or 4 at least Archie comic books. So I read probably more than 20 books this month, including those. So I did not think that was going to happen, honestly, this month. I really was rooting for a blackout in my readathon, which I tried. I have hearts by all the ones that I finished. So I came pretty close. I only missed a couple of prompts, but honestly, even if you finished just 1 prompt for the readathon, you did an amazing job. And thank you everyone for joining in. It was so much fun, and I definitely will be doing this again. And yeah, so thank you everyone just for having fun with me. And also, again, thank you for helping me to reach 1,000 subscribers. I honestly was praying the past couple weeks. I was like, please God, I just want to make 1,000 friends before my 1st year anniversary. And he blessed me with that. So thank you everyone for becoming my friends here on YouTube. I am loving getting to know you all, and I'm really enjoying reading sprints, even though I only did 1 so far, just because we can talk. and chat, and I can chat with you in the comments and have fun. So there will be another one this Friday. I'll make a post about it, don't worry, to remind you all. But we're going to have another reading sprint on Friday night, probably at 8 p.m. Eastern, a little bit earlier to try to fit in a little bit more reading time. All right, so I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me show you all the books that I read. Yeah. And of course, none of them are right side up. We'll turn them around. There we go. Too many. And this wasn't even all of them. Okay. So those are the ones that I have physically on here. But yes, so definitely it's going to be hard to pick a favorite this month, honestly. But I think The Lost Melody by Joanna, Davidson, Politano, and The State of Lies by Siri Mitchell would probably be my favorites this month. Even though I did enjoy Francine Rivers' A Voice in the Wind, but these two were definitely at the top for me. Alright, so I hope you enjoyed this video. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Hang around. I'm going to be busy this month. Pre-filming for Bookmas too, so I might be tired in some of these videos coming up just because I have a lot of filming. So, okay. I will hopefully see you again in the next video. Thank you for watching, and I will see you all later.